The Rockefeller family stands as a towering figure in the narrative of American history, woven into the very fabric of the nation's development. From the humble beginnings of John D. Rockefeller, who founded Standard Oil and became one of the wealthiest men of his time, the family expanded its influence through philanthropy, politics, and cultural patronage. The Rockefellers were not merely wealthy, they were a dynasty. Auntie, a symbol of ambition and the American dream, embodying both the triumphs and the burdens that accompany immense success. Among this lineage was Michael Rockefeller, the youngest son of Nelson Rockefeller, who served as the governor of New York and later as vice president under Gerald Ford. Michael was born into privilege, a world of polished manners and high expectations, yet he felt the weight of his family's legacy pressing down on him. From an early age, he was acutely aware of the expectations that came with his surname. The Rockefellers were not just a family, they were a brand, a legacy that demanded adherence to certain values rooted in public service, business acumen, and a commitment to philanthropy. Yet, Michael was a dreamer, a young man whose heart yearned for adventure and exploration beyond the gilded confines of his upbringing. As a child, he was captivated by tales of far-flung places, of uncharted territories, and primitive cultures. His imagination was ignited by stories of explorers who ventured into the unknown, risking everything for the sake of discovery. While his older siblings pursued traditional paths in business and politics, Michael found himself drawn to the wild, to the untouched corners of the world. He sought to carve out his own identity, one that diverged from the well-trodden path of the Rockefeller legacy. The family's expectations loomed large, but Michael's passion for anthropology and exploration whispered promises of a different life, one where he could forge his own destiny. In the summer of 1961, Michael Rockefeller embarked on an expedition to Papua New Guinea, a land that seemed to embody the very essence of the unknown. He joined a group of anthropologists and artists, including famed artist and anthropologist Otto Neumann, who were set on documenting the Asmat people, a tribe known for their intricate wood carvings and vibrant cultural practices. The Asmat were a people steeped in tradition, living in a world that had remained largely untouched by modern civilization. For Michael, this expedition was not just a journey. It was an opportunity to immerse himself in a culture that was as ancient as it was elusive, to learn from a people whose ways of life stood in stark contrast to his own. The journey began with excitement and anticipation. As the expedition team navigated the dense jungles, they were greeted by a cacophony of sounds, the rustle of leaves, the calls of exotic birds, the distant chatter of wildlife. The air was thick with humidity, and the scent of damp earth filled Michael's lungs. He felt alive in a way that he had never experienced before. Each step into the jungle a step away from the expectations that had defined his life thus far. He was captivated by the Asmat's intricate rituals, their vibrant art, and their deep connection to the land. Michael was not just an observer, he was a participant, eager to understand and document the beauty of a culture that had thrived for centuries. However, the expedition was not without its challenges. As they ventured deeper into the jungle, the team faced the harsh realities of the environment: disease, difficult terrain, and the ever-present threat of storms. The jungles of Papua New Guinea were as dangerous as they were beautiful, and the team had to navigate not only the physical challenges, but also the cultural complexities of engaging with the Asmat people. Michael, with his youthful exuberance, often found himself at odds with the more cautious members of the expedition. He wanted to push boundaries, to dive deeper into the experience, while others urged restraint and respect for the Asmat's ways. The turning point came on a fateful day in November 1961. The expedition team had been documenting the Asmat's rituals and lifestyle for weeks, and the excitement of discovery was palpable. They had established a rapport with the tribe, who welcomed them with open arms, sharing their stories and traditions. Yet, as the days passed, the weather took a turn for the worse. The skies darkened, and a storm rolled in. Fierce and unrelenting, the jungle transformed into a treacherous landscape, with rain pouring down in sheets and the wind howling through the trees. The expedition team sought shelter, but the storm raged on, a reminder of nature's raw power. In the chaos of the storm, Michael made a decision that would alter the course of his life forever. Driven by a desire to explore the coastline and perhaps to document the Asmat's relationship with the sea, he set out in a small canoe, believing he could navigate the turbulent waters. It was a reckless move, one that went against the advice of his companions. But in that moment, Michael was consumed by the thrill of adventure and the allure of the unknown. As he paddled away, the storm intensified, waves crashing against the sides of the canoe, the jungle fading into the distance. It was a moment of both freedom and folly, a testament to his unyielding spirit. Hours later, as the storm began to subside, concern grew among the remaining members of the expedition. Michael had not returned, and the realization dawned that something was terribly wrong. The team mobilized quickly, organizing a search party to comb the coastline and the surrounding jungles. As night fell, the atmosphere shifted from excitement to panic. The expedition that had begun with dreams of discovery now felt like a desperate race against time. The search for Michael Rockefeller became an international story, drawing attention from media outlets and the public alike. His family, deeply concerned, mobilized resources to aid in the search. Nelson Rockefeller, a man accustomed to power and influence, found himself grappling with the helplessness of a father facing the unknown. The Rockefellers were not just a family of wealth, they were a family of connections, and they used every avenue available to them to ensure that the search for Michael was exhaustive. Helicopters were dispatched, local authorities were engaged, and volunteers poured into Papua New Guinea, all united by the hope of finding the young man who had vanished into the jungle. Days turned into weeks, and the search grew increasingly desperate. The jungles of Papua New Guinea, once a place of wonder for Michael, became a vast and unforgiving expanse, concealing secrets that would remain forever hidden. The Asmat people, who had once welcomed him, now became part of a narrative filled with uncertainty. Did they know something? Were they hiding the truth? These questions lingered in the air, adding to the anguish of his family and the expedition team. The community of explorers and anthropologists held their breath, hoping for a miracle, yet preparing for the possibility that Michael may never return. As the search continued, the narrative of Michael's disappearance began to shift. The media, hungry for a story, speculated on the circumstances surrounding his fate. Some suggested that he had been taken by the Asmat. Others believed he had succumbed to the elements or fallen victim to the dangers of the jungle. The theories were as varied as they were wild, each one feeding into the mystery that enveloped his disappearance. The Rockefeller name, once synonymous with power and privilege, was now intertwined with a haunting narrative of loss and unanswered questions. Months passed, and the hope of finding Michael began to wane. The search was officially called off, but the legacy of his disappearance lingered. The Rockefellers, who had once been a family of triumph, now bore the weight of tragedy. Nelson Rockefeller, in his grief, turned to philanthropy and public service with renewed vigor, perhaps as a way to channel his pain into something meaningful. The family continued to support various causes, yet the shadow of Michael's disappearance loomed large, a reminder of the fragility of life and the unpredictability of the unknown. In the years that followed, Michael Rockefeller became a symbol of adventure and ambition, a young man who dared to explore the boundaries of his world. His story resonated with those who sought to understand the complexities of human desire, the desire for exploration, for connection, and for understanding. The jungles of Papua New Guinea, once a backdrop for his dreams, became a metaphor for the mysteries of life, for the paths that lead us into the unknown. The legacy of the Rockefeller family continued to evolve, shaped by the loss of one of its own. Michael's disappearance sparked conversations about the ethics of exploration, the responsibilities of those who venture into uncharted territories, and the impact of cultural encounters. His story became a cautionary tale, a reminder that the pursuit of knowledge and adventure is fraught with risks, that the unknown can be both alluring and perilous. In the decades that followed, the world changed and the narrative of exploration transformed. The jungles of Papua New Guinea became more accessible, and the Asmat people, once shrouded in mystery, began to share their stories with the world. Yet, amidst the progress, the questions surrounding Michael's fate remained unanswered. Did he find what he was searching for? Was he at peace in the embrace of the jungle, or did he meet a tragic end? The truth may never be known, but the spirit of adventure that drove him to the farthest reaches of the earth lives on. Michael Rockefeller's story is one of ambition and adventure, a testament to the human spirit's desire to explore the unknown. It is a narrative that intertwines the legacy of a powerful family with the mysteries of life, reminding us that sometimes the greatest journeys are those that lead us into the depths of the unknown, where the answers elude us and the questions linger in the air like whispers carried by the wind.